everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Equip Show, where I am Jessica Marino, and we are here to highlight nonprofits and the amazing work that they're doing in our community. Today I have with us Tommy DeLeon from Astute Coffee. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Excited to be here.
Exciting. So she's the community outreach coordinator, and she's going to tell us all about what they do, what they used to do, what they're going to do, ways you can get involved, all that good stuff that we normally go over. So we're just going to dive right in. Can you give us a quick, 15-second version of who Astute Coffee is and what your mission is?
Yeah, we are a nonprofit that works with people that have aged out of the foster care system, providing workforce development and programming. So some of that programming looks like mindfulness, but emotional regulation, financial literacy, cooking, nutrition, and mentorship is a big bulk of it. So just kind of figuring out the day-to-day once you age out.
Awesome. And I didn't know this until I started going there to get coffee. So always something new we can learn. So how did you get involved?
So I aged out of the foster care system in 2021. So I started in their program, and then it's a year-long program is what we say, but it's very difficult to just end it abruptly. So I stuck around longer than maybe they wanted to, but definitely got to just kind of go through the program, finish school, and then eventually once I was done with school, I kind of created this position of advocacy, outreach, community involvement.
I love that. Just now they're stuck with you. Just create your own role. Now they're stuck with you.
Can't get rid of me.
Right. I'm sure they don't mind. So what are some of the things you do in your position? Where are you outreaching to? What does that look like?
Absolutely. So a lot of what I do is work with participants who've aged out to coordinate if they need a resource. If it's higher education, what does that look like applying to FAFSA? What scholarships are out there? And a lot of the times my own experiences having gone through the education, kind of utilizing those resources myself, kind of comes in hand. So partnering organizations like Partnership for Hope, their Youth Mart is just so amazing and encompassing. So a lot of the times you age out and then you have to find your own place. And so Youth Mart kind of provides the furniture. And so what I do is I kind of play middleman a lot of the time.
Okay.
I just connect participants with the resources they need. And that's one aspect and facet of what I do. And then the other aspect is advocacy. So being in the community, if there is we did a book drive, which we got to but collect books for Nebraska Correctional Youth Center.
Oh, cool.
And that was widely successful. The community showed up and showed out. We did a food drive for families impacted by the ice raids. And that was also widely successful from all different demographics and ages that came out and donated. And then we got to coordinate with organizations that were actually that were delivering those foods. We got to deliver some food. That was really awesome. And now the pantry we now have been able to accumulate. We partner with Omaha, Welcomes a Stranger, to drop that off now and again. But also it's open for our participants. So if a month is rough and they just need some food, it's always there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's super cool. So you guys didn't start as Astute Coffee.
No.
So let's go back a little further so everyone knows who you guys are, where you came from. Tell us about the beginning.
Yeah. So our executive director, Maya Summer, he started it about 15 years ago, and it was the bike union where kind of the mission really came from his own experiences with similar backgrounds that we all came from, wanting to ensure that no one was aging out but kind of navigating young adulthood alone. So he created this nonprofit, and the bike union, it was centered around bikes, fixing bikes. And in that kind of space of it, you were also getting hands-on mentorship. So when you're fixing bikes, you're talking about the hardships you're going through, or you're like, hey, you're hearing things like, oh yeah, you need to pay your OPPD. Let's figure out how to do that. Let's figure out the adulting of life. And so Maya did that. The bikes during the pandemic just kind of were too successful, and it overshadowed the nonprofit part of, well, not the nonprofit, but the programming part of it. So he made that switch over from the bike union to Astute Coffee, same nonprofit, same mission. But instead of bikes, we get great coffee. Because the coffee was not that good during the bike union. It just wasn't.
Refocus the experience there. And tell them where your building is and what it is, because it's a cool building.
It looks kind of like a alien spaceship from the outside, but it is a round building, beautiful on the inside. But it is 1818 Dodge Street, so on 19th and Dodge. But yeah, so downtown, if you're proximate, it's a good walk up. But yeah.
Yeah, plenty of parking, cool building. So you started to talk a little bit about some of the programs and initiatives, doing the drives, the mentorship, the financial literacy. What other programs do you guys have for all these young adults?
Yeah, so other programs, I don't know if I'm like, we partnered with, Omaha Integrative Care to have licensed therapists come to the shop every second and fourth Friday to facilitate dialogue. So having someone who is licensed and has that education to be able to provide mental health support. We're a big advocate for mental health support, to be able to just, mental health is pivotal, especially for young adults, recognizing that sometimes when you're not addressing a lot of that you've suppressed or pushed back, it comes out in maybe not the most healthiest ways. So we try to, provide as many resources and as many avenues, really advocating for therapy, and that emotional regulation through mindfulness is kind of our backbone.
I love that. Yeah. Well, it is so important. So some of our viewers might not really understand the foster care side of things and what that world looks like and why mental health is extra important. Can you kind of give us some education about the system?
So when you go into the foster care system, the reasonings can be kind of wide, whether it's neglect, abuse, abandonment. A lot of the times what we're noticing in our community, drugs play a big part, parental addiction, parental incarceration, recognizing a lot of those systems tend to intertwine. So and homelessness, when you aren't able to really provide for your children, what we don't think about when we look at a person on the street or someone who's unhoused is the recognition that they have children, they might have children. And so the system really kind of is supposed to step in and provide a safe and stable housing for those children, because reunification is always the court's goals. Whether it's discretionary, I think it needs to be discretionary because reunification might not always need to be the goal. I went into the system twice when I was in elementary and then for the last time when I was 14. And reunification probably shouldn't have been the goal in my case, but that's not always the situation. But really the system is there to provide a safe housing, a safe support. And Nebraska is unique in the fact that it's, I think, 3 or 4 out of all 50 states that the age of majority is 19. So it's supposed to provide an extra year of aging out. And so in that year, you're looking at transitioning. Your social worker is supposed to be kind of also that backbone to ensure that while you're transitioning out, you have as many resources and support as possible. However, what we've seen in the past was St. Francis. We as a state decided to privatize our foster care system and allowed St. Francis to come in and bid, and we just went cheap with our kids. They bid really low. We're like, yeah, bet, you'll do it cheaply. And then they did just that. They did it cheaply, incorrectly. You had social workers consistently quitting. I was in the system when St. Francis was kind of in control, and it was inconsistency after inconsistency. I found myself unhoused while under St. Francis system. And I think within that, it just really highlights the state doesn't prioritize our kids as much as it should. Nebraska Appleseeds is a phenomenal organization, and they advocated during that time. They continuously advocate for child welfare. We love them for that, but I think a big part of it is we don't need advocacy if the system works. If the system was working the way it should and it's intended to, then there wouldn't be so much need to have people speak up and speak out. But it's not, and we do have this need.
Okay. Thank you for sharing with us, actually. Let me start there. But then I wanted to dive in a little bit something you said. So we shouldn't need to advocate if the system works. So is that the gap that Maya saw and was like, I need to help get these resources out because they're not getting the right amount of resources from the state?
Yeah, I would say yes. And the fact is that young people tend to not have those resources when you have the lived experience. So foster care is one facet of it, but a lot of the times we also employ people that have juvenile experience or because we have this intersection. When you interact with the foster care system, the likelihood you're going to find yourself unhoused or that you're going to find yourself maybe using drugs or in the juvenile system is significantly higher. Okay. And that's just facts of the matter. And I think that a big part of why the organization is so pivotal is that it meets young people where they're at. It's not saying, right, hey, you have to be here, therefore we welcome all people. It's not, the expectation is you don't have it figured out. The expectation is that we're going to kind of be there while you figure it out, and maybe kind of give some guidance and some mentorship to ensure that you feel as supported as possible. It's supporting young people in these times.
That's important. Very important. So you said the program is a year.
Yeah.
So what does that year look like when you're meeting them where they're at?
Yeah, that year is really inquiry. It's exploring, what is it that you want to do? What is it they've been exposed to? What is it that getting people stable mentally is probably the first step. I think a lot of the time we had an interview today, and a big part, and even just within that interview, we like asked like, what are some goals? And a lot of the time there really isn't any like A, B, and C. This is how I want to do it, and this, because if you have like a goal and a way to do it and how to do it, maybe this isn't the, but like we're here to kind of help you figure out what those goals are, and things come up so organically. It's not so much and this is how. It's in conversation. It's oh, what do they do? And then having those conversations and exploring like just the different facets. There really is no one career you can go into.
Right.
And sometimes higher education isn't always what you have to do either. Trade, there's just so many possibilities. And when you've been limited what feels like your whole life, or when you've been exposed to only really maybe addiction and incarceration and poverty, maybe you don't have the biggest goals, and the goal is just to be here and to be happy and to see tomorrow. And that right there is what I consider success.
Nothing wrong with that as a goal.
Yes.
I love it. So what are some of the ways people can support you guys or get involved?
Yeah, I think a big way to support is to have your meetings at Astute. Get your coffee at Astute. Come talk with us, ask questions, interact. Really that curiosity that people bring, it sparks such a bigger conversation that I think is needed in our communities. Nothing to be afraid of, we're all pretty much tatted and pierced, but you look past that and we're all really friendly. So I think that's a big support. And then if you live too far and you're like, oh, that's just such a drive, donating on our website, support like on or in social media, see if there's events coming up, or if you can maybe just pop in once or twice. Programming. So we're always in need of like cooking and nutrition. We partner with First National Bank for our financial literacy, but always people bring such creative ways to teach and to learn, and really it's teaching and learning. You're learning from participants as much as they're learning from you. It's being in relation and mutuality.
I love that. It sounds fun. And I can say, like, they do have good coffee. It is a nice place to have a meeting. Shout out Cliff. We always have meetings there. And it's just a really nice atmosphere. Like, you definitely feel at home. You know, I can walk up to the counter and talk to them, and there's no judgment in that. It's like a judgment-free zone. Like, you feel it when you walk in. And there's always a place to park, which is great, especially downtown. So is there anything about Astute that we maybe haven't learned yet that you can think we should know? Oh, I know it's a tough one.
I know, that's a hard one. I feel like, I don't know. I think people don't realize how much we're in the community, but we've recognized that the foster care system isn't a individual system that stands alone. So if it's something like the ICE raids that kick off, and it's like, hey, we have a space, let's provide a space. If it's something that you see a need, you meet a need. We're very grassroots, very kind of like, just we're here. And I think that's something that people don't realize, that it's not just the foster care system that we have so much passion about. It's incarceration, it's RISE, all these great organizations that are doing such great work. It's being able to not just partner with them, but to be in conversation with them.
Absolutely.
And I don't think people realize how much of a need that conversation is.
Yeah. You never know what's going to come from a conversation. Mm-hmm. I literally stopped in and got a coffee, and here we are.
Exactly.
So you never know. I love that, though. It truly, when the community just takes that first step, the amount of difference it makes in people's lives is unfathomable sometimes. So I wanted to ask, too, before we wrap up here, what would be like one of the biggest physical needs you guys would have? Like, could people drop off something to your participants, or do you guys need any kind of like in-kind donations?
I don't know. I think donations are always welcomed. When it comes to if physical things, I mean, if food, we have the pantry, so sometimes we'll go and being able to just be in relation with others, I think is so great. But I don't know if it's so much like because our pantry is pretty stocked. We try to keep it stocked for Omaha welcomes a stranger. And honestly, if there's a need, it's kind of the opposite. If you guys have a need, come to us. But if you have the capacity to donate, if you have the capacity to have extra time and to be in conversation, we not only encourage, we welcome.
I love that. It's just so great to hear. So before we wrap up here, is there anything else, any shout outs, anything you want to say before I tell everyone thanks for watching?
Shout out to our executive director. I mean, I think the work doesn't happen without having he's there. He's not like behind a desk. There's no desk. He is, his office is in the lobby, on the patio, like being outside. Like his desk is behind the porter station. So a lot of the times executive directors of nonprofits are usually phenomenal people and are great. But from a biased perspective, will say that our executive director shows up as a dad, as a friend, as a real person in our community. And I consistently see him show up for our participants and myself on a daily.
I love that. Yeah. Good job, Maya. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you so much for coming and like telling us everything. And everyone's got to get their butt down to the little spaceship building. It's super cool. I just am like, I just love the shape of the building. Like a round building is so cool. And then, kind of giving us information about the foster care system, because I think that is a big educational gap in our community as well.
And I will also just add the Nebraska Foster Care Review Board yearly puts out statistics and data. So if you are a person who loves numbers, go and read. Like I don't say this because yes, it's my experience, but don't just trust that. Go trust the numbers. People are aging out. I think it was 179 aged out in 2025, and that's an increase from the prior years. And we're consistently seeing an increase. So I think when you look at the numbers and you see the issue at hand, the question should be, what can we do? Why is it this way? And how do we hold our state accountable for its children?
Yeah. Something's got to get done. I love it. Well, thank you so much again for joining. Thanks everyone for watching. Go to their website. It'll be somewhere here. And check them out. Check out the numbers and get involved.
Heck yeah.
Thank you.